It is Chala Dinkoy, the CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert. I don't know what's happening. Oh my gosh. I couldn't get into my Facebook again. I had to go through Chrome. I had just finished a conference, so I was like all hot and bothered. And then I like rushed to make myself a tea, and then I got cups. So I was trying to, while I was waiting for my two-step authentication code, it wasn't sending it. It was hilarious. I tell you, this technology, you gotta love it. But I was just on a conference with a new platform, AirMeet. It was beautiful. It was, I mean, I had a whole, facilitator. I had someone helping me. It was wonderful. Shout out to you guys if you guys are watching. It was awesome. We did like on demos, like on the spot demos. We did the polishing the pitch, of course. My big gig, and so people had to turn on their cameras and they put on their lipstick. They looked amazing, and so we did some of that. And as usual, I ran out of time, so now here I am. I'm a little bit late for the Tuesday tea time with Chala. I thought I love this topic. I've talked about this before, but I haven't talked about it from this angle quite yet. We talked this morning with a great client who has been ghosted. They had a sales ghosting happen. Now, I don't refer to ghosting as, now ghosting, what is ghosting? I think it's a millennial term. I think it's ingrained in millennials because the way that they're brought up with the technology is it's so much less personal, that it's when somebody has an interest in you, whether in business or personal, that you just stopped communicating with them, one, even though initially you look like you were interested. So I don't consider it ghosting in business if you're reaching out the first time, because unless they indicated interest and you have a conversation, it's not really ghosting. It's just, they weren't the right fit. It's really just rejection. But ghosting is giving the green light that you're interested in going forward, and then it goes nowhere. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, I did a whole Tuesday tea around the 79% of sales don't close. So almost 80% of sales don't close. But this is a little bit different, because it's fine if you know that it's not going to close. It's fine if you tried to overcome the objections, but you just couldn't overcome the objections. It's fine if they tell you that they went with someone else. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. But ghosting happens when, for no other reason, you just never hear back from them and you don't even know what happened. And it can take a toll. One, if it happens a lot. Two, there's systematically something that you're doing wrong in your either in your marketing or in your close or in your sales conversation. Also in the qualifying, like I'm going to talk about all these things, and hopefully you won't get ghosted anymore. And the big thing about ghosting, whether in person, because I've online dated, and ghosting apparently happens a lot. Like, I didn't notice it happening to me, and I'm just trying to think, have I? Now, I've ghosted as a buyer, like I've ghosted vendors, but there was reasons for that, and it was actually part of the reasons of why I'm going to talk about today. So I'm coming at it from both sides. But in dating, I can't. I'm not a ghoster. I'm too old. Like, I would write back to the person and say, I'm sorry, I'm not interested, or I've reconsidered, or I met someone else, or whatever it was, or I'm just not in the mood to date anymore. But I'm just too old. So, and there's reasons why people do ghost, and I'll go into that. Now, we're talking specifically about business, but hey, be my guest if you want to use it for for your dating, for your online dating, which in the pandemic was just like wildfire, right? It was just so. It's the only way to meet people anymore during the pandemic, because we're still in a lockdown in Canada. Okay, so 5 reasons why a prospect goes dark is, one is maybe they were just tire kicking. And I'm just obviously talking about all my experiences being on both sides of the buying table. And when I say tire kicking, they wanted to know how much your rates cost. And I'm just totally, again, talking about when I was ghosted and I ghosted myself. They just wanted to know the price. They wanted to know what you were like. Maybe they wanted to get an experience of you, and for whatever reason, it's not a good fit. So, they just drop off. And the second reason why I think a prospect goes dark is during the interaction of the last interaction, or somewhere along the interaction, something triggered them that indicated that it wasn't a good match, or scared them off, or felt like it was too much of a risk to take on either the spend or the if it's a buying group, there's research that shows that the the larger the buying group, so up to 7 people is the average in a buying group, in a corporate buying group. 50% of buyers are actually afraid, even though they want to buy, they're afraid to buy, and they won't speak up because they're afraid of either losing their job or their reputation. So those are some of the reasons something triggered them. Could be number two. Number three is they're unsure of their next step, or they're talking to others. So in the case when I ghosted a supplier, and I actually it was a vendor, and I actually got a hate letter, which is like a I hate you letter, and it was that my boss was both traveling so much that we didn't really have a chance to interact for a number of weeks while this vendor was waiting for us to decide, but also um, we were talking to other people. And we wanted to keep them as a possibility because they were the cheaper option, they were the second choice, but we still wanted to keep them in the running because we couldn't negotiate the price that we wanted with the person. And this has actually happened to me when I was a runner up in a job situation, when I was interviewing for a position and the person that they really wanted took another job, and I was the second person, and I would get the job, and sometimes it would even be a cheaper a cheaper wage that they would pay me, which I would find out later. But it's all because they're unsure, and so they're keeping you guessing. The last one is really, of all of these things, it's they ghost you because they want to avoid a confrontation, because some people just don't want to take the risk that it's going to go bad, or that you're going to react negatively, or you're going to call them out on something, or they're going to have to explain something. So people have a tendency to avoid things that are unpleasant, so that's why they're ghosting you. Now there are really dangers to ghosting, right? It's your reputation. So your reputation could suffer on both sides of the table. That you could literally get a reputation for being difficult or for being unprofessional. You could lose relationships, and if you want to burn that relationship, that's fine. But you're burning relationships with the people that they already know as well, and with your mutual, community. You're losing relationships. There's a lot of reasons, and I just think it's not a good thing to do as a human. And the times that I've had to do it, and they've been few and far between, I had the chops to be able to go out and say, I'm sorry, we don't want that, or I'm sorry, I'm not interested, or I'm sorry, here's why I'm not interested. Now, you can lie about the reason, you can soft soap things, but it's all about really just giving them the lay of the land so that they stop fighting it, right? They just stop trying. I believe in honesty and everything. So especially in sales, you could say not right now, and this is why, or just say not ever, because this is why. And if you don't want to say this is why, just say, we're not really in the market anymore, or we're not interested anymore, or whatever it is. And the last one really is the most likely one, is that they're busy. So in the case of when my boss was traveling all the time, it's because she was so busy that we couldn't sit her down to talk about all the different vendors that were competing for this piece of business. And we really couldn't come to a decision because she was so busy. It wasn't that I was so busy, it was she was so busy, and she was part of the decision-making chain. So those are some of the reasons why the prospect might go dark on you. Now, what to do to head this off is, of course, what I do is I assess well. So I have tons and tons of different ways for people to come into a sales conversation with me. And so I have my team who is assessing them. I have a questionnaire that they have to fill out to be able to get an appointment with me. If they're coming in to do a podcast, it's the same thing. If they're coming in to actually come into the group, you had to answer a series of questions. We are constantly qualifying. And my social sellers are also qualifying. They have questions that they have to ask, or they have to elicit based on conversation. So, that kind of qualifiers, screeners, they really weed out the people who are tire kicking, because they need to be at a certain level, and they need to value their time as much as your time, and they need to be in the kind of category and size of business that actually typically needs your help. And if you're really clear on your avatar, and you should talk to me if you're not, or come to one of my trainings, that you know exactly what questions to ask to be able to get to the actual avatar that you want to get to. Okay. So, what other ways can you head off being ghosted, or, having this dark, silent, very promising meetings go dark? Is never leave without an appointment. And this is what I told the clients this morning, is like, well, did you guys leave without an appointment? And they're like, well, we asked, and they weren't willing. Well, let me tell you, if they're not willing, and they're not even willing to get, I always say, get a meeting to get a meeting. So I would say, if you don't know everyone's schedule, that's fine. How about if I call you, like, if they say 2 weeks, or if they say in a month, give them a date and say, how about I call you July 3rd at noon? And if they're not even willing to go there, they're not going to be pinned down to a date. The answer right there. And then sometimes I will come out and say, when they're not willing to meet with a date, or they're not willing to put a date to the next date or to the next steps, I simply say, I feel as if I've done this a couple of times, and I feel as if I've missed an objection here, because you're not really committing to a date. Am I wrong? What did I miss? So I put the blame on me. I say, I want to be really honest and open and candid with you. And I take the risk away by saying, what have I missed? What is the objection that I missed? What am I missing here? Is this what I'm feeling? Is this what I'm seeing? And that usually opens up a whole discussion around what the true objections are, because the true objections only come at the very end, you guys. And it's great if you can sneak them in at the very end and say, just one last question is, what if one thing would stop you from, working together? Or in this case, if they're refusing to give you the next meeting, then you can literally ask them, what is happening here? Is what I'm sensing happening? And if I've missed it, that's fine. If it's not a good match, that's fine, but I just wanted to address it. So that's one of the ways to head that off, that, them going dark. And then, of course, overcome the objections and listen to the silent and soft no's. I love these. In fact, next week I'm going to talk about the silent and soft no's. What are some of the ways that people say no, but you don't really think it's a no. You don't even understand that it's a no, but it's a silent and a soft no. And if you are skilled and become skilled in picking those up and addressing them, that's when your prospects are going to stop going dark, and you're going to be able to head that off, and you're going to be able to eliminate that right away. It really takes practice, you guys. I've done so many sales conversations now. I'm so blessed that they no longer make me sweat. I can do them in my sleep. I'm very comfortable addressing anything uncomfortable. And I think that comes across, and it just takes kilometers. And with my clients, what we do is lots of dry runs, and have as many sales conversations with as many people as you can, and then build in some of these funnels to get them to self-elect out, and then you elect them out if they're not a good match to begin with. And so you eliminate all of the potentials for you getting ghosted. All right, you guys. Now, I want to invite you again to my next masterclass, the Lead Gen Masterclass. It was such a huge hit last time. We had so many signups, and we had so much participation. It was literally, I always say, after I do a speech, I'm flying to my car instead of walking. And this time, of course, I'm not in a venue. I'm in my own living room, but I was flying to the bathroom, we could say, after I finished. I was all flushed. It was so much fun. So I'm inviting you again. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to find your avatar, how to find your niche, how to find that gap in the market that you're going to super niche in to generate revenue right away in a strategic and scientific way, without guessing, without throwing spaghetti at the wall, and without wasting tons of time and money. And you know that you're wasting time and money on your marketing if it's not converting. So it's not about visibility, you guys. It's about strategic visibility that lands and that actually converts. So On June the 24th at noon Eastern for 90 minutes. I'll be presenting once again the Lead Gen Masterclass, where I'm going to be giving you the formula, the step-by-step formula of how to actually find that gap in the market, the avatar, and then how do you message around that. And the whole masterclass is around elevator pitches, which is what my super niche is. And it's leveraging your elevator pitch to reposition what you do in a way that's relevant and that is differentiated and that opens doors to meetings. So I hope you can join me. The link to join us, the registration is repositioner.com/leadgen, and I can't wait to see you guys there. And I hope you enjoy your tea. Here, I was almost choking on it. There's my tea. All the best, everyone. Take care.